You are onto your lofty program, State of the Nation, where we hasten the motions for national development. On this segment this morning, we're going to be discussing an issue that borders on our existence, which is COVID-19. We've had scourges like this before. We had the Black Death in 1918, which took away about 1% of the world's population. That is an experience for us. And this time around, we are praying it doesn't get that bad before we access the cure and the control for it. And I can tell you this for free, by God's grace, we are going to achieve that. But this morning, we should not shy away, we should not delude ourselves from discussing COVID-19, how we came about it, the management, and the vaccine administration. These three concepts are very, very important. And I can make you a promise, we will trash them out today, because I have with me in the studio somebody that is very astute, very, very, very knowledgeable, in the person of Dr. Chuba Keshi. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for granting that to us. This morning, we shall be delving into the nitty-gritty of COVID-19 in itself. Before we localize it a little bit, it's always good we look at all the hypotheses, all the conspiracy theories. How did this dawn on us? The Western world were telling us that it came out of the lab in Wuhan, and some other conspiracy theories here and there. But at the same time, that does not stop us from thinking, because what do we have our brains for? Our brains are for thinking and deciphering things out. We need to work out the modalities. How did we get here? If you don't know how you got here, you wouldn't know how to proceed from here. We were being told it was a mistake in a lab. But at the same time, I am looking at it from one angle. There are instances where people became millionaires, billionaires, by creating viruses for your system, and at the same time giving you an antivirus to come and buy. In the case of COVID, we are not saying that is the situation, but it is not impossible. Another angle we have to look at is biological warfare. Years back, an American was telling the world that the population of the world is getting too much. It's getting overbloated. It should be reduced. Those are things we cannot afford to negate if we are right-thinking people. But all things being equal, with God on our side, we shall be able to overcome, because I'm a positive thinker. I believe however bad the situation is, we shall overcome that situation. So, my brother, once again, welcome to the studios.
Thank you.
And I am saying one thing, that, okay, COVID has done on us, it is here with us. Let us think and talk in terms of the management of COVID from a local angle. Let's give it some local content. Let's talk about Nigeria in itself. Because if we go into the stats for Nigeria, we've had infections of about 170,000. We've had recoveries of about 166,000. We've had test samples of about 2.3 million. And then the fatality rate is less than 2,005. That was why I prayed that God is on our side. Because with our ineptitude, we are still able to maintain that low aspect. With these stats at the back of your mind, with the element of where it came from, where the virus came from, and how we are managing it, can just give us an intro into the best way about the management of COVID-19.
Yeah, if you look at the phenomenon of COVID-19, you first of all, how is it, when this thing started, the Western world predicted that Africans will be dropping dead.
In our hundreds of thousands.
But that is not happening.
By God's grace, it did not happen.
It seems to me that the issue of the virus itself has some ecological dimension, to the point that, because they said it's fat. if it's fat, that means little heat melts it. And because Africa is very hot, I'm not saying that is it.
Yeah, but we are looking at all hypotheses.
Africa is very hot, so it does appear that that's why you cannot thrive in Africa. Then coming back home, if you remember when the AIDS pandemic, started coming in the mid-80s, when the epidemic before it became a pandemic,
That's right.
started in the mid-80s, there was a theory that West Africans, we are not as susceptible to AIDS as other parts of Africa. It appears to be the same thing here. A country that is so populous like Nigeria, we are not having, God forbid, our fair share of,
No, we're being factual. Yeah, we don't want to delude ourselves.
On the contrary, if you go to East Africa and South Africa,
mortality was huge.
Mortality up to today, is still very huge. So all that put together, it's not because we have facilities or anything.
Yes.
But because some kind of divine intervention, whatever reason, although it's scientific, if there's enough research on it, we'll be able to explain why that is happening to us.
That's right.
So that is
your intro to it. Let me expatiate on the management, and then infuse the element of local content. Remember, when we had the first wave, it was due to the fact that we never closed our borders fast enough, because we were still doing a lot of VIP traveling. VIPs were coming in, and then the plane wouldn't fly one person.
And the fact that the idea that it is their problem, not
ours per se as at that time, but they were able to bring it, because even the man that brought it is an Italian. The first case we had was an Italian. What bothers me is this: when the first wave came, and then travelers came into Nigeria, we had a case where our security apparatus were telling us that the people that came in were missing, which is an insult on our security architecture. And the same thing is happening as we speak with this third wave. People are coming in and they are telling us that they cannot find them. I was annoyed because I was saying one thing to a few friends. I said, look here, even my grandson can decipher, can tell you that nobody can get missing. When they came in, they gave you phone numbers. As a security personnel, why didn't you verify that number by calling the person and say, this person that is coming into Nigeria is on you? They did not do that. They did not censor them. Somebody walked through our airport, which is the safest place of point of entry, and that still happened to us. With a situation like that in the first wave, and a situation like that in this third wave, what do you think of our local content, our security architecture, and how we are going to manage this third wave? Please.
Again, it's the same. It's just the same issue. We looking at it totally. We really do not have control over the management of this COVID-19 crisis. We really do not have control. Like you just talked about security.
Yes.
Even the man that came from Liberia that brought Ebola, saw the way he moved like hot knife through butter through our
brothers, yes.
Security system. But it's not about COVID alone. It's everything. People come in. You travel a lot. When you go abroad, if the immigration officer wants to know where you are, it's easy.
Very.
Even as you are in the country.
Very.
But can we say that of ourselves? But then, for our administration of COVID, that will not be considered our problem.
Why do you say that?
Because the facilities that they will deploy to check that, and the fact that a lot of attitude to work too is not something to be written home about. So they will rather concentrate on managing what they see. Who has been tested, who is positive, what can we do about the person? So, but then we'll help ourselves if we go the extra mile to check our borders. Particularly this the Delta variant that is highly infectious.
Contagious and
so we need to pep up our security architecture at the point of entry, and even managing people that come into the country. Because you see, when somebody, for example, when somebody is said to have tested positive, there have been instances where people have crossed and entered into the country, and then somebody somehow they know that they are positive, and they begin to look for people that they have contacted. You know, and there's no way
as a secondary factor, without taking care of it at the primary stage.
Yeah, so that is about that. We need to do something about. There are global best practices everywhere in the world. If you go to the UK, you know how they manage it.
Yes.
You know that they've lifted the issue of quarantine now. Yes. I think so. You know, but they still follow you. You know, they still follow you.
At least for that 2 weeks.
Even for people who are citizens of the UK, they still follow you and make sure the health officers call you by the hour or some. You know, they give them their time. They call you to find out where you are. Has anybody visited you? That kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. But we don't do such things.
Even at that level, I still wouldn't want to let our security apparatus go for free. Because you know what you just said now? They will call you.
They will call you.
All it takes is just communication. That was what I said earlier. If somebody gives you a phone number, in most cases, even if you don't have security apparatus, you have Truecaller. They should even have something better than Truecaller. What I'm saying in essence here is, the moment you come in, and I ask you, where are you going? Well, I'm going to stay with my sister. Call your sister, or give us your sister's name. The moment you call, you will get the sister's name, you will probably get the address, and you will tell the sister, we are holding you liable for this entrant who is coming to Nigeria. Is that a big deal for our security apparatus to do?
Well, if you ask them, they might just say that, that will be too expensive. But the truth is that we have not spent a kobo of our own money to manage this COVID thing. What we get are donations. And I'm sure, for example, the private sector, by way of COVID, has been highly involved in the management of this COVID thing.
Yes.
And then NCDC. I was going to say NCC, but NCC. The networks we have, MTN, Airtel, and the rest of them, Globacom, and all of them. If, like you said, you come in, you put your phone number, Mr. John Doe from the United States, he puts his phone number, John Doe's phone number is there. And then his contact, who your people are going to call, he puts it down there. And all these records are taken. If you're using MTN, I'm sure MTN will be ready to waive.
Oh, we'll be glad to tell you who the person is.
After they gave us, waive the cost.
Yes.
After they gave us 300,000 doses of vaccine.
Yes.
You know? And everybody will be ready to help. But, you see, it's just the attitude to work. Nobody wants to really apply himself to what he's doing. You see, everything has to do with strategy.
That's
and
right.
your ability to innovate.
That's true. That's true.
Ability to innovate, to solve problems on the spot, and get new ideas to not conventional things that people do.
Okay. At that level, let us move away from the management and then talk about the vaccines per se. It is a known fact that we have about a lot of vaccines coming in from AstraZeneca, Moderna, Sputnik, Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, BioNTech, and the rest of it. The name goes on and on and on and on. But in terms of the vaccines, I would like to ask you this. The efficacy of the vaccines is something that is a little bit of a medical situation. But at the same time, we are getting information on a daily basis. I was able to research and then get to know that the efficacy of even the best of them all, let's say in quote, the best of them all, AstraZeneca, has dropped from 79% efficacy to 76%. Some of them are even lower, but the benchmark is about 70%. And there are some vaccines that are about 50% or less. Let me ask you this. Are we in trouble here, or we are still praying that the management will be okay in terms of the efficacy of the vaccines? We are basing our thoughts now, not on medical terms, but on the fact that this is what the manufacturers of the vaccines are telling us. So as normal human beings, we should be able to think along these lines. What do you think about the efficacy, bearing in mind the figures I just quoted?
Well, One thing you must understand is that vaccines are drugs, they're pharmaceutical products.
That's right, of course, yes.
Now, ordinarily, it takes between 10 and 15 years
Yes.
to do a turnaround for a drug. From research and discovery, drug development, clinical trials, 3 clinical trials, and then commercialization. It takes about 10 to 15 years.
That's it. You were saying the same thing. In this case,
overnight. So largely, because we are still in the same world, we are not in a different world.
That's right.
If the regular drugs that we know, cardiovascular drugs, whatever drugs you want to talk about, atorvastatin, which is the drug that has earned the most income, in the history of drugs. If those ones took between 10 and 15 years to develop, and for the medical world to put a stamp on it and say
yes, it's good
this
is
efficacious, blah blah blah. Why would you think they can be so sure for this one that they didn't have time?
They didn't have up to 5 years to do
COVID-19, 2019. And nobody has even started talking about it until 2020. So it has taken a few months, But I must say thank you.
You must commend them.
Yes,
for that fast track in getting the work done.
So anything can happen,
yes,
and that again addresses a question I know you must ask: the issue of why people are rejecting and all that. It's because it has not been tested.
Yes.
Over time, and there have been history of vaccines that
didn't go down well.
That have backfired. So people. So, like I said, anything can happen in terms of efficacy.
That's right.
So we'll just keep following and hope for the best.
That's positive thinking. We have to
hope for the best and keep following.
And then think.
If it's dropping from 79 to 76, well, that is huge, but we're still manageable. At least,
okay.
That means if you take it and you still, the chances that if you expose yourself, of course, you catch it. But if you observe minimum precaution, then the chances are that you will scale through.
Yeah, like you rightly said, in the absence of any other option, we'll make do with what we have. Let me now go into a situation that is, I'm a Nigerian like you are, and I am very particular about myself because I constitute whatever percentage of that population of Nigerians. When it comes to the world vaccination distribution, let me read you some facts. Canada is about 68%, UK 60%, United States 54%. I'm coming back to Africa now. In Zimbabwe, 5.2, Togo 3.3, Rwanda 2.7, Uganda 1.9, even Sudan 1.3, but when it came to Nigeria, it was 1.1. We must be doing something wrong somewhere.
You mean the rate of vaccination in terms of the population?
Yes!
Sorry. Yes, that is not unexpected for so many reasons.
Okay, we'd like to learn.
Yeah. One reason is that percentage is a function of volume.
That's right.
And like I said, we don't have control over the supply, over the production, nothing. Even the other day, the Minister of State, Mamora, was saying that this is our projection, but I cannot put my finger on it because we have no control. So if you send 100,000 doses to Togo and you send 100,000 doses to Nigeria, it won't translate to the same percentage.
No, it won't translate. I'm talking about world distribution. Why can't we negotiate more?
We are getting more in terms of volume, but because of our population. So, but we have not been able to get that kind of volume that will address for example, our projection is that at the end of 2021, we would have done 40% vaccination.
That's 80 million.
That's 80 million people.
Can I remind you this? As at the first vaccines that were brought in, the AstraZeneca, we were given how many? 3.9 plus 1 plus 2 or whatever.
3.1 plus 1 from India.
Yes.
100,000
from India.
And then 300,000 from MTN.
And then
that came to about 4.3 or
4.3 thereabout, and then lately, maybe yesterday, in the past maybe 24, 30 hours, we got another 4 million Moderna.
Not right. What you got was 400,000. They've promised 4 million. In fact, yes, the papers reported 4 million.
Yes.
But this morning, as I was getting ready to come here, I think a TV station was on, and I saw them say that 400,000 has been delivered, but that they're hoping to get the remaining for a balance of 3.6 over the next few weeks.
You see, because that brings me to an element that is not medical. It brings me an element that has to do with diplomacy. You said it earlier that these vaccines that come into Nigeria were given to us in most cases for free. And when it's not free, we have enough funds on ground. There is COVID, there is COVAX, there is this, there is that. You see, I with my positive thinking, excuse me, I am a positive thinker too, that why can't we negotiate for more based on our population? Like you rightly said, you said Togo had a substantial amount, so that the law of percentages does not apply. If Togo can go as far as, what is Togo here? Togo is 3.3 of its population. Why can't we negotiate for something in that range, 2 point something or 3% of our own population, which is not going to be this paltry 3 million or 4 million, of which just 400 is coming in?
That is what we are doing. That is what we are doing. We are doing it. You see, but nobody can give what he does not have. Even the promises that were made, if you recall, shortly before Trump left, when this Delta thing, exploded in India.
That's right. He came from India.
Trump said the promises I have made to Africa, I may have to divert to India. The Serum Institute of India, which is the world's largest producer of vaccines,
yes,
and everybody was hoping on the Serum Institute. Serum Institute said they can no longer. They need to. India,
take care of their own
population, which is about 200% of Africa. So you can't blame them. So nobody can give what the person does not have. So Nigeria is trying. I must give it to our health authorities. They are really trying. They are trying. They are doing their best.
I agree.
They are doing their best because they cannot do what they cannot get what is not there. We have. Okay, we have this COVAX you just mentioned.
That's right.
Okay, this is what they call AVAT. African Vaccine. African.
It's okay because
acquisition task team. The AVAT is hoping that they can achieve 60% by 2022. There's this global coalition they call COVAX. So the AVAT was created by AU when this whole thing started. So, and they are doing their best to procure vaccines. But like I said, you don't manufacture these things.
No, we're a beggar nation.
For South Africa, that just started. Just 2 companies in Africa just started to produce vaccines. You don't do these things. So you can, like I said, you cannot get what is not there. Nobody can give you what it does not have.
What about a situation of purchase? Because the average human being is still a businessman. In most cases, most of these vaccines we had were handouts.
So if you go to Serum Institute, for example, and say you want to buy, you think that they will now leave?
No, I'm just saying that. Look, life is all about innovations. The element of buying is an innovation. Why wait for handouts?
But nobody will sell to you what he does not have again. You see, the issue of COVID-19 is a matter of life and death, and that's why there's this they call the compulsory licensing clause in WTO. About property rights. Even if you recall, when Okonjo-Iweala took office, she said when she saw what was going on, Africa is not getting what they should get.
Yes.
So she said we are going to go back and look at the WTO rules and see how we can strengthen this clause of compulsory licensing. What that means is a country can suspend the intellectual property right of a drug manufacturer to produce that drug if it comes to a point of life and death.
And they need it in their own country rather than exporting it.
No, I'm talking about a country like ours now.
Okay.
Assuming there's there's some patent issues, surrounding a particular drug.
Yes.
Like for most cases, usually anti-malaria, and then you say because the thing is endemic, people are dying. Like this COVID thing, people are dying of it. So yes. you can suspend the intellectual property rights of the owner of the drug and do the generic version.
Okay.
So, but there are still clauses that hold you, like processes and even, so that's what she's saying, that she's going to the WTO is going to go back to that clause and strengthen, so that when there is an emergency like COVID, you don't have to look elsewhere. Once the drug comes out, is it from Pfizer, from
whatever,
whoever, AstraZeneca, whoever it's coming from, you go and do your own. But again, do you have the capacity? Do you have the means?
That's another angle that I would like us to go into. Because we had some good news lately when Professor Muji Ade of NAFDAC, she said we are getting close to having a local vaccine production. And honestly, we can call it good news. But at the same time, I am looking at, like you already said, where is the wherewithal for us to go into production? From the last count, the company that I believe had even a little bit of the capacity was a company they called BVN Nigeria Limited. But as we speak, the company is moribund. So at the back of my mind, I would like to have asked Professor Ade, where do you think we are going to produce this from? Though I have something as a plus for her, but let me ask you that first. Based on what she said, that we should go into local production, and there is, like you said too, there is no facility on ground. So how do we achieve what she's thinking?
That's the point. There's this thing they call the 100 billion naira pharmaceutical intervention fund.
That's right.
Which has just been accessed 80% by 40 pharmaceutical local manufacturers.
Yes.
They've taken up 80 billion of that 100 billion. And I've been reading papers, I've been doing my research. I have not seen where anything is attached to COVID vaccine, manufacturing vaccine. So the money they have taken, nobody is using it to manufacture COVID vaccines. They are still the same conventional drugs. So why would you put in 100 billion in the pharmaceutical industry at a point like this, and it's not addressing
this scourge?
This scourge. If we say, okay, this had been planned before the scourge, then do some supplementary budgets in which we are very good at. Well, or via the funds to
get it done.
If you go to India, the equipment they can get from India, because that's why you have the Serum Institute, the largest global manufacturer of both America and every other person in vaccines. So we can invest in getting this equipment. And the issue of vaccine will not end today. Vaccines will still be manufactured.
Oh, yes.
We're still hoping to get the HIV vaccine. We're still hoping to get all kinds of vaccines.
There are no vaccines. Ebola is still there.
Vaccines will still be manufactured. So that one beats me. So we don't seem to be very proactive in this management, in this aspect. Is it because at the end of the day, if you cannot produce for yourself, it is what you are given that you will get.
And then that keeps us at a bad disadvantage, very bad disadvantage.
And this issue of the big pharma conspiracy is still there, whereby nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about Africa. It is when what they have to throw at you, what they give to you. And unless you take your fate in your own hands.
Yes, of course, we need to. But that makes me, like I said, this might be a minus because we don't have the wherewithal. But there is a local content plus that has been with us from the first wave. I keep remembering someone like Maurice Ubu, who said he can do something. He's not looking for a cure. He's not saying he's going to find a cure. He said he's going to try, he can do something that can mitigate this COVID-19. That was at the first wave.
Yes.
Secondly, in addition to that, I tend to believe him, because if we put in the factor of we're not dying in our hundreds of thousands as the Western world wished us to die, that means there is something in us, something inherent in us that is not making us die. So that makes me to believe that if we move 1 or 2 steps further, we might be able to achieve it. by one simple fact of, I go more mechanical than maybe medic. One simple fact that there is something that mitigated your numbers to be in the range of 2,000. All you need to do is pick on human beings and pick on Nigerians, find out what is in us. Is that too difficult for us to do? Little wonder, like the governor of Kogi State, Yaya Bello, said something. He said he believes there is COVID, but he also believes that there is something in his state. In other words, he's saying something like there is herbal cure. There is something in his state that can alleviate this thing. And honestly, the numbers are proving him right. Because we do not manufacture any vaccine. The vaccines we have are not complete. They give us large numbers. They promise 4 million. They gave us 400,000. They promise 4.3. I wonder how many they've given to us. So what is it that we have that we cannot improve on by having the likes of Maurice Wu's idea?
Well, it's all boils down to the same thing. You know, there's an intervening variable.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So it is meant for us to look close and find out why. Look closely. I mean, find out why this thing is the way it is.
Okay.
You know, and like I said, all drugs, most of the drugs have made it so big. Like this one they call ACT, adenosine-based conditional therapy.
That's right.
They get them from natural. They imitate natural substances. Adenosine is a plant.
Right.
I mean, you know, it's a plant.
It's a plant,
so that is what they ape. And Maurice, is it not? He said he was going to get some from bitter cola or something.
Yes, as a pharmacologist.
Somebody was call it bitter cola theory. You know, and there's this they call ANDI, African Network for Drug and Diagnostics Innovation. It's all about the same thing. In fact, I'm doing a book on it. You know,
that's good.
Because of this COVID thing, because of what we have seen. You know, you needed to see how Okonjo was addressing not United Nations, General Assembly over this thing. Africa we need to look at our ecosystem.
That's right.
Most of these drugs, like I said, they come from natural substances.
Now, of course, yes.
They are made this synthetic substance, which they use as drugs. So we need to look inwards. Because of what we eat, we have made us to be resistant to
of
COVID.
Course, yes. Of course, yes.
So all these things can be enhanced and put into a drug, you know, and then we do it ourselves. Because unless you take full control of your drug production, access to essential medicines will continue to elude us.
Thank you very much. And to you, my viewers out there, that has been my brother, Dr. Chuba Keshi. He has been able to tell us in simple terms two major factors. One, we need to look inwards and make sure that we go local in our vaccine production based on the fact that there is something inherent in us all that we can put to good use. Secondly, when I threw it at him about our security architecture, he said they should be able to do better. But between us, don't let us delude ourselves by believing nothing is going to happen to us. Let us keep maintaining those simple protocols of social distancing and wearing of face mask. And if you feel your body is getting funny, your temperature is getting increased, you're losing taste in your mouth, please kindly seek medical attention. Thank you, my viewers, for being with us, and my brother, Dr. Chuba Keshi, thank you for coming on this program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother.
We are not wearing face masks.
No, the thing is, we're still maintaining that meter distance, and then our studio here is well prepared for situations like that. Exactly. We're highly clinical out here. Don't go away, my viewers. Our interview segment continues shortly. Stay there.